At the break of dawn, long before the tourists gather at the gates of Buckingham Palace or the cameras begin to flash, a highly specific orchestrated sequence of events begins behind the heavy velvet curtains of the royal chambers. It is a routine so precise, so unyielding, and occasionally so bizarre that it has fueled rumours and tabloid speculation for decades. We often imagine the life of a modern monarch as a series of handshakes and state dinners, a life of immense privilege where every whim is catered to. And while the privilege is undeniable, the reality of King Charles's morning is not one of lazy luxury, but of military-grade discipline bordering on obsession. Reports from former staff members, biographers, and leaked palace memos paint a picture of a man who finds comfort in the absolute predictability of his environment. From the exact temperature of his bathwater to the specific angle of his windows, nothing is left to chance. This is not merely about being pampered, it is about control. In a life where his destiny was mapped out before he was born, and where his every move is scrutinized by the global press, these morning rituals represent the one domain where the king holds absolute power. But some of these habits are so peculiar, they leave us wondering, are these the eccentricities of a man out of touch with reality, or the coping mechanisms of a sovereign carrying the weight of history? Number 10. The open window policy. While most of us might crave a warm, cozy room to wake up in, especially during the damp British winter, the king insists on the exact opposite. Regardless of the season, regardless of the location, whether it is the drafty corridors of Balmoral or a guest suite in a foreign embassy, the windows must be cracked open. He requires a constant stream of fresh, cold air to sleep and to wake up. This preference is so non-negotiable that staff have reportedly been instructed to use pliers to force open painted shut windows in historic buildings where he stays. This obsession with fresh air often puts him at odds with his own staff and family, who are frequently left shivering in his presence. It speaks to his lifelong philosophy regarding nature and the outdoors. He refuses to be hermetically sealed away from the elements. He believes the central heating that comforts the rest of the modern world is stifling and unhealthy. For the king, the biting cold of the morning air isn't a nuisance. It is a vital connection to the natural world he champions, even if it means his valets are wearing thermal layers while he starts his day in high spirits. Number 9. The toothpaste protocol. Perhaps the most infamous of all the rumours surrounding the king's morning routine involves his dental hygiene. It has been widely reported by former butler Paul Burrell and confirmed in various biographies that the king does not squeeze his own toothpaste. Every morning, a valet must prepare his toothbrush for him. But it is not simply a matter of handing him the brush. The paste must be squeezed onto the bristles in a very specific manner. The requirement is precise. Exactly 1 inch of toothpaste. No more, no less. It sounds like a caricature of royalty, a detail from a satire, yet it highlights the extreme level of service he has been accustomed to since birth. This ritual is often cited as the ultimate example of his pampered prince reputation. However, those close to the household suggest it is less about laziness and more about efficiency and the preservation of uniforms. A king cannot risk a stray splatter of fluoride on a bespoke suit before a 9 a.m. briefing. It is a microscopic detail, but one that sets the tone for a day where every interaction is managed for him. Number 8. The bathtub metrics. Following the dental routine, the morning bath is prepared, but this is no casual soak. The specifications for the king's bath are outlined in strict instructions given to the housekeeping staff. The water temperature is not tested by hand, but by a wooden-cased thermometer to ensure it is exactly tepid, never too hot, never too cold. The depth of the water is equally regulated. It must be exactly 7 inches deep. The plug has to be in a specific position, and the towel must be folded in a particular way to be within immediate reach. This level of micromanagement extends to the very hardware of the bathroom. It has been reported that on travels, he brings his own toilet seat and Kleenex velvet toilet paper to ensure consistency. While the palace has occasionally pushed back on the toilet seat claim, the bathtub metrics remain a well-documented part of his morning. It turns a simple act of hygiene into a scientific operation, ensuring that before he faces the chaos of the world, his physical sensation is perfectly calibrated to his liking. Number 7. The military fitness regimen. Despite being in his 70s, the king maintains a physical robustness that surprises many. This is largely due to a morning exercise routine he has adhered to for decades. He is a devotee of the 5BX plan, 5 basic exercises, a fitness regimen developed by the Royal Canadian Air Force in the late 1950s. Designed to keep pilots fit without the need for gym equipment, the routine takes exactly 11 minutes and includes stretching, sit-ups, back extensions, push-ups, and running in place. For years, this routine reportedly included a headstand intended to cure back pain and improve circulation, though age and injuries from polo may have modified this specific acrobatic feat. He performs these exercises in his underwear, strictly in private, before the day begins. This discipline is a hangover from his military service and a testament to his fear of frailty. In a role where you cannot retire, maintaining the physical stamina to stand for hours and walk miles on engagements is a professional necessity, not a vanity project. Number 6. The breakfast tray. When it comes to sustenance, the king is a creature of extreme habit. His breakfast is rarely a cooked affair. Instead, it is a spread of seeds, nuts, and specifically prepared fruits. He is known to favour linseeds, which he calls bird seed, often bringing his own supply in a special container to official banquets to sprinkle over his food. But the centrepiece of the morning meal is often plums. According to former royal chef Darren McGrady, the king would request 2 plums to be put in a bowl with a little juice. Every single morning, he would eat one and leave the other. The chef, trying to reduce waste, once sent up only 1 plum. The king rang down to ask, "Can I have 2, please?" He needed the option of the second plum, even if he never ate it. This ritual speaks to a psychological need for abundance and choice, controlled within a very strict dietary framework. He skips lunch entirely to maintain his weight and energy, making this nutrient-dense, predictable breakfast the fuel for a 10-hour workday. Number 5. The news and the bagpipes. While he eats his seeds and fruit, the world comes to him. But it doesn't come via a smartphone or a television screen blaring the morning news. The king prefers the radio, specifically the BBC, or reading the newspapers, which are ironed by staff to ensure the ink does not rub off on his fingers. This old-world method of consuming information allows him to stay informed without the visual clutter of modern technology. However, at Balmoral, or when in residence at Windsor, there is a distinct auditory signal that the morning has officially begun: the Queen's Piper. Continuing a tradition started by Queen Victoria, a bagpiper plays under the King's window at 9 a.m. sharp for 15 minutes. For most, bagpipes might be a jarring wake-up call, but for Charles, it is the sound of continuity. It is a daily reminder of his position, a musical connection to his ancestors, and a signal to the household that the monarch is awake and the machinery of the state is in motion. Number 4. The wardrobe logistics. The king is widely considered one of the best-dressed men in the world, a champion of British wool and bespoke tailoring. Getting dressed, however, is a multi-person operation. His clothes are laid out for him by his valets: socks, underwear, shirt, and suit, arranged on a chair in the order they must be put on. But the preparation goes deeper. His shoelaces are reportedly ironed flat. This detail, often mocked, is actually about the silhouette of the shoe. A twisted lace looks messy under the trousers of a suit. His suits are brushed, and his shirts are pressed to perfection every single morning. He often changes clothes 5 times a day depending on the engagement. Farming clothes for a walk, a suit for a meeting, black tie for dinner. The morning dressing ritual is the first armor plating of the day. He is stepping into the costume of the king, a role where appearance is a primary language of diplomacy and respect. Number 3. The desk and the black spider. Once dressed and fed, the king does not lounge. He heads straight to his desk. This is where the famous black spider memos were born, his handwritten letters to ministers scrawled in black ink, named for his spidery handwriting. His morning desk time is sacred. He tackles the red boxes, the government dispatch boxes containing state papers, with a diligence that rivals any CEO. Unlike many executives who delegate the reading, Charles is known for reading the fine print. He writes notes in the margins, asks questions, and drafts correspondence immediately. His desk is arranged with precise symmetry. Pens, paper, and inkwells must be in their exact designated spots. If someone moves a pen, he notices. This ritual of writing is his primary output. It is how he processes the world and exerts his influence. The quiet of the morning is the only time he has to articulate his thoughts before the schedule takes over. Number 2. The walk. Before the official engagements begin, or sometimes immediately after the first block of desk work, the king must get outside. This is not a casual stroll. It is a rapid march pace walk, often leaving security detail and staff breathless. If he is at Highgrove or Sandringham, this time is used to inspect the gardens, not just to look, but to work. He is known to stop and perform hedge laying or pruning in his suit if he spots something amiss. This compulsion to be in nature is the counterbalance to the stiff formality of the palace. He talks to the plants, a habit he has been ridiculed for, but one he defends as essential. This morning walk is his grounding ritual. It is the moment he connects with the land he reigns over, not as a sovereign, but as a steward. It clears his head and allows him to endure the claustrophobia of motorcades and reception lines that will follow. Number 1. The tea chemistry. No morning is complete without the royal tea, but you cannot simply boil a kettle and hand him a mug. The preparation of the king's tea is a chemistry experiment. Different teas require different water temperatures. Green tea at 70 degrees Celsius, Earl Grey at 100. The brewing time is timed with a stopwatch. 3 minutes for green tea, 5 for Earl Grey, but the most specific rule involves the sweetening. The king adds organic honey to his tea, but he does not spoon it in himself. A silver spoon is placed on a separate saucer with the honey already measured out. He then stirs it in. The milk, if used, must be added last to ensure the proteins don't denature, altering the taste. This ritual, usually occurring around 4 p.m, but often started in the late morning, is the anchor of his day. It is a moment of pause, executed with the same rigor as a military parade. These rituals, when viewed individually, might seem like the caprices of a man who has never heard the word no. The ironed shoelaces, the measured toothpaste, the 2 plums. It is easy to caricature King Charles as a fussy aristocrat living in a fantasy world. But when you zoom out, a different pattern emerges. We are looking at a man who has lived his entire existence in a glass cage, where his name, his face, and his future were public property from the second he was born. He has no control over the press, no control over world events, and for 70 years had no control over when his true job would begin. In that context, controlling the temperature of the bathwater or the position of a pen isn't just eccentricity. It is a survival strategy. It is the imposition of order on a chaotic, highly scrutinized life. So I have to ask, Do you think these strict routines are what kept him sane during the decades of waiting, or are they a sign of a monarchy that is too removed from the reality of its subjects? If you enjoyed this deep dive into the hidden life of the palace, hitting the like button helps us uncover more stories like this. And for more investigations into the psychology of the royal family, make sure you're subscribed. We have a video coming up on the secret protocols of the Royal Protection Officers that you won't want to miss. I'll see you in the next one.